This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fighters and William Hill. Delighted to be joined at Falls Park in Belfast with the King of Belfast,
yes.
Tyrone McKenna. I mean, it's my first time here and it's always good to see you, mate.
Listen, I like that introduction, the King of Belfast. I'm buzzing to be here. I wish I was fighting here. It's a special venue, it's a special place. I live like 5-minute walk from here, so it would have been great to fight here, but it's great to be here and supporting the lads. I'm gym mates and good mates with Sean McComb. He's fighting here, I think, in 2 fights time. And then Paddy McCrory headlining. He's a lovely, lovely guy, a legend of West Belfast. So I'm buzzing for him to be headlining. I think he deserves a headline slot. Over the years, he's 35, so to be finally headlining, like, to be headlining in the field is something special. So I'm buzzing for him.
Is it a little bit bittersweet for you? Whilst it's amazing to be here as a fighter and seeing it, so you haven't got the pressure of fighting, but you still want the atmosphere, everyone's.
Leading up to it, you're like, it's good, I'm going to be here watching the fights, and then you actually get here, and then you're like, fuck, I wish I was fighting. But because I have that fight, I have a fight on 16th of December, or September, get to it if you can, but I have a fight there in Dublin, and it's for the IBO World Title against an undefeated fighter, so because I have that, I'm not too jealous that I'm not on this, or too bittersweet. I'm happy to be here and support my club mate, and supporting all the lads. And still focused on my big fight that's happening. So
we'll get onto that in a minute, but like we said, I think I asked every boxer this question, and I do get the same one, that you see Sean fighting, you see other guys fighting, you see your friends fighting. How nervous do you sort of get for those fights?
Do you know what? I usually do get, like Tommy McCarthy, I get nervous like fuck when he fights, because sometimes fucking he's a lazy bastard and it frustrates me. I'm the same for him watching me. He hates me fighting because I go and get into wars, but with Sean McComb, I'm just so confident in him. He's unbelievable in the gym. He's such a good boxer. Like, I hate sparring him. He's fucking so hard to hit, and he's so accurate and so unbelievable. And I think a lot of people look at his fight with Gavin Gwynn and go, he lost that fight and he got slapped and stuff. And base how good Sean is on that fight, and that's completely wrong. He did bad comp there. His head wasn't right. And now he's joined Petey. He's came up leaps and bounds, and sparring him he's lethal, and he's in frightening form right now, and he just off a good win against Casey Benjamin, and he looked unbelievable there. He only had 5 weeks notice for that fight, so he's had a proper comp this one, and he just came off the back of that win and straight into camp, so this is going to be an even better version of Sean McComb, and then you'll see.
And that's the thing you said about the Gavin Gwynn fight. Does it show sort of any inspiration to any boxers that even if you do take losses, you do sort of take it, there's always another path for you, even someone like yourself, do you know what I mean?
100%. I mean, even the good old Hart Davies, he had a few losses and now he's fighting for the world title. Myself, I've had a few losses. They're all big names. I mean, see, styles make fights, and if you get beat by someone, it doesn't mean that you're any better or worse than people would have perceived before. It's just that fight wasn't right for you, and or that time of that, when that fight happened, wasn't right, or something happened in camp or something like that. You just shouldn't base everything on the zero. I know we always said everyone's wanting to keep their zeros and protect their zeros, but I think it's so stupid. Like you can build a career by taking the bigger fights, and even if you do get beat, they'll still go up the rankings because you've took them big fights, and you get your name out there more, and you can get other fights, and people need to start building their records properly, and not avoiding all these fighters taking journeymen and got a big fight and they get hammered because they're not ready for it, they're not experienced enough for it. Take the hard fights when you can and build experience, and then once you're ready and to dominate, then you're ready and you can go into the big fights and win.
100%. Well, we'll get onto yourself. You're in another big fight. Just said there, the IBO Welterweight title. We did just see a great welterweight fight last week. Division's thriving right now. We see guys like, we just saw Kieran there. We see Kurt. Just look at Lewis Crocker. The division's thriving right now domestically on the world level. So getting the opportunity for you must feel like, this is a big fight for me, and especially sort of on the level it's at.
100%. As you say, like last week, Terence Crawford, he's cleaned up the division. He's the 4 big belts. And then if you look at him, and then the 5th belt is the IBO World Title, and I'm going to have that once I win in September. So it's going to put me in a great standing for big fights, massive fights. People that want to put put themselves in line for the other 4 titles will have to fight me. When I do win, I'll be calling out a lot of big fighters. There's a lot of big names out there that I would love to fight. And I'm excited. I mean, it's a great division to be in. I've only moved up to this division. I've had 1 fight with Chris Jenkins. This will be my 2nd fight at this weight. And I love being this weight. It's like there's such big fights and big fighters that I can pair with, and to get this belt will give me a leg to stand on when I'm calling out these fighters.
100%. You look at that kicking on from the Chris Jenkins fight, which was such a good fight, and you think pushing on from that now, you'll have a lot of clout and have leverage behind your name.
So it's frustrating. Like after I beat Chris Jenkins, and it was a great fight, it was a war. People loved it. I thought, right, I'm going to start getting the ball rolling again and get a big fight soon. And just had been a string of bad luck. Liam Taylor pulled out of the fight, and then Arsen pulled out of the fight. He had a flu, he was sick, and that fight didn't happen. And then a couple of other fights didn't happen, and it was just a long year of frustration. And it was no fault of myself. I was in the gym, I was fit, I was no injury free, and it was just an unfortunate year for me. Especially at 33, you don't really want to have a gap year at 33. But the way I look at it, I had that Liam Taylor fight. I fell through a week before the fight, so I had all the benefits of the camp. I was down my weight, I was flying fit. My head was right for a fight, so although I didn't have the fight, I had all the benefits. So in my mind, I'm not a year out of the ring, I'm only 6 months out of the ring. And it's been a year. Like, if you look at my face, they're very taxing on the body. For me to have a year out with no fights, no bumps and bruises and clashes of heads and wars, I feel a lot fresher. I feel like it's shaved about 5 years off me. So I think it was actually something that I needed a break from the wars. And I feel like a new man. I feel like I'm boxing unbelievable in the gym, and I've stayed in the gym with Pete, and it's been a year of learning and a year of not having to think about opponents or thinking about that. It was just strictly in the gym with Pete, thinking about how to better myself.
And is there a lot of benefit to that, like you said? Because sometimes people can get frustrated. Do you think it depends on the way you look at it? Because you could be frustrated where you've not been in the ring, but then you look at it in a positive way, like this has been a year for learning for me.
Yeah, well, it would have been a frustrating year if I hadn't had that Prograis fight, which brought a lot of money in. So I was comfortable. I was like, fuck, I'm not. If I was stressed from money, I'd been like, fuck, I need a fight, and I'd been panicking, I'd been probably depressed, probably would have had to get a job and whatever. But because I did have a big fight with Prograis, I was kind of able to be settled and not worry about financial, and I could still pay for my house and stuff like that. So it was a bad time. I didn't want a gap year, but it was the right time to have one, if it was ever to have one, because it did have a big fight with Prograis and Chris Jenkins, and I could relax, and it was a worry-free year where I could go down to the gym, I could concentrate on my boxing, and I could really focus on what I needed to improve, and that's what I've done.
100%. Well, we'll get on to, it won't be just you boxing for world titles, but your good mate Tommy Mack potentially fighting Arsen Goulamirian. Okay. How big of a fight do you think that could be for him? How big of an opportunity for him?
Well, I'd love to hear that it gets over the line. I mean, I've seen a lot of things on the press and in the papers and stuff and interviews and whatever. I've actually seen whatever his name is, the French fighter, doing an interview saying he's looking like he's fighting McCarthy next. So I'd love to see it getting over the line for McCarthy. He's my best mate. He's my co-host on the podcast, Whiskey and Weight. Check it out. But yeah, I mean, he's a legend. He's had a string of bad luck as well. He's had a few decisions I thought it should have went his way that didn't go his way, and then a few tough fights. But I think that his Chris billam-smith loss, it's shown that it wasn't that bad of a defeat. Now that Chris billam-smith's world champion, he had a fucking unbelievable win against Coley. So that shows the standard that he is. I mean, he had a very tight fight with him, 2 fights going at Hearn's back garden. So it shows the calibre he is, and I think he deserves a big fight and a big opportunity.
How is that podcast going?
Podcast's going lethal. I've said it before. I genuinely think I'm more popular for the podcast than I am for boxing. Like, I'm walking down Belfast now, and people aren't shouting, "When's your next fight?" They're saying "Whiskey and Weight podcast," and they're saying all this shit to me. So it's weird. I've grown in popularity tenfold just because of the podcast, and I'm doing a live podcast next week in the Devonish. So all you Belfasters or anyone in the Belfast vicinity, get to the Devonish 9th of August on the Wednesday. We've got a serious guest for it, so should be a good night.
100%, definitely. I'll be linking it in the description because it is good, man. It is good.
It'll be up. The live will be up the week after for the YouTubers to watch. But if you haven't, get on Whiskey and Weight on YouTube or Spotify and check it out.
Another thing I wanted to say is, when we look at Irish boxing, you think about guys like yourself, Mick, Jamie, Carl, and even like now we see this year we're going to see 2 massive fights with Katie Taylor versus Chantel Cameron and the rematch. Do we see now like a real sort of turn in the corner of that? It's getting so big all across Ireland.
It's unbelievable to see because obviously Belfast has always been the kind of hub for Irish boxing, and there's only maybe 2 big shows a year, maybe 1 big show a year here. So now they're scattered all over Ireland, these big shows, and it's given a lot of limelight or laid onto the talent that Irish boxing has and brings. I think we've been overlooked a lot in the past where our talent doesn't get shown on TV or we get brought over as opponents. So now that we're in Belfast, we're in Dublin, we're in Cork and everywhere, and TV's getting brought along, and these massive fights are showcasing the talent that we have here. And I honestly believe Ireland's one of the strongest talents for boxing in the world. And finally we're getting to prove ourselves, and we're getting the massive nights that we deserve.
100%. Last one from me. You mentioned about Regis Prograis there, opponent someone that you shared the ring with.
Yep.
It's looking like he's going to be facing Devin Haney next. Just sort of what you think on that fight after sharing the ring with Regis.
I genuinely believe Prograis wins. I haven't obviously shared the ring with Haney, but when I was in the ring with Prograis, like, he's frightened. Like, I don't know if you see the first round, but he hits me a jab and my face goes, oh fuck, like, that's how hard he hits. The jab is like a backhand, his backhand's like a sledgehammer. He's elusive, he's smart, he's educated, he's pressure, he's a nice guy. I really like Prograis. I have a lot of time for Prograis, and I think he's unbelievable. I know he's highly rated, but I think he's very underrated as well. And I do think Haney's good. I think it'll be a hard fight, but I do think Prograis comes through it.
100%. Tyrone, been a pleasure chatting to you, and it's a pleasure being in Belfast, mate. It's good. It's good to see the King, man.
You're welcome anytime. King's orders.
Top man. Thank you.